Welcome back to another episode of Good Question by CoinScheduleTV.
Well, Roger, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you giving your time over to CoinScheduleTV and to myself.
Thank you, Anthony. It's my pleasure.
Good. So just to start off with something simple, why do you think cryptocurrencies are important?
I think cryptocurrencies enable anyone anywhere in the world to be able to send and receive any amount of money with anyone else anywhere in the world without needing permission from any bank or government or anyone at all. And so the way the world becomes a better place is through economic growth, and economic growth is enabled through economic freedom. And so if cryptocurrencies enable more economic freedom for people all over the world, they enable more economic growth, and more economic growth raises everyone's standard of living. So if you want to make the world a better place, cryptocurrencies are the best tool we have to enable that. So that's why I'm so excited about cryptocurrencies.
Yes, I agree completely. And for anyone who's not familiar with the story of Bitcoin Cash and how everything came into creation, why did you originally leave the Bitcoin camp? And could you give me a small history of what you did in the Bitcoin camp and how you even came across it?
Sure. So I was the first person in the entire world to start investing in the Bitcoin related ecosystem. And this was way back in 2011 when nobody was paying any attention to it at all. I set up the first websites to start accepting Bitcoin as payment for goods and services. And from my point of view, I never left Bitcoin. I'm still promoting the exact same Bitcoin today that I was back in 2011. And what changed is the people that hijacked the brand of Bitcoin and the coin that everybody's calling Bitcoin today, they openly are hostile to using it as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, but that's the very title of the original Bitcoin white paper. Whereas with Bitcoin Cash, our entire goal is let's make this cash for the world. It's a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So from my point of view, I never left Bitcoin. Bitcoin, the version of Bitcoin that everyone's calling Bitcoin today left me. And Bitcoin Cash didn't leave me. It's the same version of Bitcoin from 2011 to today. So I'm really excited and bullish about Bitcoin Cash because it has those same characteristics that made me excited about Bitcoin to begin with back in 2011, and the BTC version no longer does. So I'm busy building all these tools to enable more economic freedom for the world on top of Bitcoin Cash, not because it's Bitcoin Cash, not because it's the real Bitcoin, but because it's the most useful version of cryptocurrency that I'm aware of out there today.
Because I have seen some of your videos when you talk about some of the Bitcoin core community who do propose smaller block sizes. I saw the 300 the video you did a couple weeks ago. So I'm not saying that the Bitcoin core community doesn't have people within it who have varying opinions about the size of the blocks, but generally the community does seem to be big proponents of the Lightning Network, which is going to bring us closer to a medium of exchange away from store of value. So because it is an overwhelming amount of the Bitcoin core community who do support the Lightning Network, do you not think that kind of undermines the opinion that Bitcoin core is only a store of value and people in the Bitcoin core community only want to keep it a store of value?
I wish them good luck with their Lightning Network, but it's so far away from being usable in commerce that I'm not concerned about it one bit at all. My biggest fear each night as I go to sleep for the future of Bitcoin Cash would be for BTC to scale and allow the blocks to become bigger so more people can use it as cash. And they're not going to do that. So I'm not, that would be my biggest nightmare, but it's clear they're not going to do that. So I guess the executives at Friendster or at MySpace weren't worried about some other social media that site surpassing them, but sure enough, Facebook managed to do that. And I think the BTC people feel secure in their position, but the transactions are slow, expensive, and unreliable, and Lightning Network is nowhere even close to being usable in commerce. So people are already looking for alternatives, and Bitcoin Cash is right up there towards the very front of the list of alternatives that are working today, right now.
But just from a philosophical perspective, because obviously that is the underpinning of you leaving the BTC community, was that the philosophy had changed, and the philosophy was this is a store of value, it always will be a store of value, and let's maintain it as that. But my point is that even though the Lightning Network is not optimized, and I don't think anyone would dispute that, the philosophy that people are pushing to try and bring the Lightning Network to optimization is we would like this to be a store of value in the future. So would that not come into conflict with the idea that the philosophy of Bitcoin Core is to maintain the store of value?
So the only way anything gets to become a store of value is by having some additional exterior use case other than being a store of value. So the reason everybody uses the euro or the British pound or the dollar as a store of value is because you can spend them anywhere in those countries. And if tomorrow you woke up and you weren't able to spend, the dollar at every shop, or the British pound or whatever, in whatever country you're in, if you weren't able to spend it everywhere, people would stop using it as a store of value and they'd use something else. And so the BTC camp, by destroying its usefulness to be spent everywhere, is destroying its usefulness as a store of value. And so I had every philosophical and financial incentive in the world to see BTC become incredibly successful, because I owned a bunch of BTC and I owned Bitcoin.com. Of course, I wanted to see this useful as money for the world and be successful. But the BTC camp, using censorship, it's still going on to this very day, basically just shattered the community into a bunch of pieces and destroyed Bitcoin's usefulness in commerce. And I say that firsthand as someone who was trying to use Bitcoin for payments in commerce. And when the fees got to be over $1,000 each for a single transaction, no businessman wants to use it. I switched to using currencies other than BTC.
Right, and you mentioned that you had more invested interest in Bitcoin than anyone. Do you, if you don't mind me asking, still have BTC?
Yeah, I still own some BTC. I have a diverse portfolio. I own a bunch of BTC, Bitcoin Cash, of course, Ethereum, Dash, Monero, Zcash, Zcoin. I have a whole bunch, and Ripple, Stellar. The list goes on and on and on. I have a real nice, well-rounded portfolio, like any smart investor would do.
Yeah. So as well as owning the currency themselves, do you invest in other infrastructure projects in other projects, or is it just infrastructure investment in Bitcoin Cash and then holding the token from other projects?
Yeah, my biggest token holding is Bitcoin Cash, and so the majority of my investments are for people that are building platforms or infrastructure for Bitcoin Cash. But I've also, I put up the seed money to start Ripple. So, and I've even recently, though, I've made other investments for people building platforms on things that aren't directly related to Bitcoin Cash, but because my underlying philosophical excitement and why I get up every morning is because I want to bring more economic freedom to the world by building distributed tools that are censorship resistant, so that governments and politicians can't boss people around and control them anymore. And I'm a fan of anything that enables that. If it's called Bitcoin Cash, that's great. If it's called something else, that's fine too.
Yes, and regarding the infrastructure levels, what infrastructure projects on Bitcoin Cash are you most proud of that have come around recently, and which ones are coming down the pipeline that you're most excited for?
I think the big ones that I played a hand in directly is our developer.bitcoin.com platform. We're building a whole suite of SDKs and APIs to make it super easy for any developer to start building on top of Bitcoin Cash right now today, including Bitcoin Cash-based tokens. Like, the tokens are really going to be a big deal. And we're about to roll out Bitcoin Cash-based tokens to all. By the time it comes out, we'll have over 4 million wallets created on our Bitcoin.com wallet platform. So that'll make us the most popular token wallet in the entire world overnight once we launch that, and that's coming very soon. Another one that I didn't play much of a role in, but I'm really enjoying, is cashshuffle.com is another Bitcoin Cash-based wallet that allows you to have privacy with your Bitcoin Cash by shuffling your cash with everybody else's cash, so these chain analytics spy companies aren't able to spy on what you're up to with your Bitcoin Cash.
And because obviously what I find interesting is that the cryptocurrencies will only be adopted in the places that need them the most. And for example, Venezuela is the hub of cryptocurrency adoption because they need it as a necessity. And the saying that I like to use is necessity is the mother of all creation, but necessity is the mother of all adoption. And in those markets where it is complete necessity between feeding a family and not feeding a family, between using cryptocurrencies and using the local dollar and the local currency, it seems that the crypto of choice is Dash. And presumably that is because they see Dash as the ultimate use case of crypto money at the moment. Do you see Bitcoin Cash becoming overtaking Dash in that respect in Venezuela and then going on to change the world, or what's holding up there?
I think Dash is fantastic. And the slogan of Dash is digital cash, which is the same original slogan of Bitcoin and basically the same idea behind Bitcoin Cash. So I think the Dash and the Bitcoin Cash community get along and love each other so well because they're both trying to do the exact same thing. So I have a nice stockpile of Dash as well, because digital cash, that's the killer app for cryptocurrencies, is being usable as cash. So great job to the Dash team and the Dash network for everything they're doing. And we share the same vision with Bitcoin Cash. We want to be cash for the world. Dash wants to be cash for the world. Great. Like, whichever one wins, that's fantastic because the whole world gets to use it. So more power to the Dash community for the excellent job they're doing down there in Venezuela and other parts of the world. And competition leads to better results too. So I'm glad that Bitcoin Cash is giving them some competition on that front as well.
Yeah, and do you think cryptocurrencies are going to outcompete fiat money in the future? And if so, when do you think that kind of transition from institutional money to decentralized money is going to occur?
I think it would have happened a lot sooner had it not been for the censorship and the scaling civil war that took place within Bitcoin. But I do think digital currencies are going to supplant government issued currencies. How soon is it going to happen? I don't know. We've come a long way in the 8 years that I've been involved. So I would think that within another 8 years, I think we'll start to see some of that starting to happen is my guess. But I'm working as hard as I can every single day to make that happen sooner rather than later. I would love to push that time frame up to, 2 or 3 years out rather than, 8 or 10 years out, but we'll see.
And for me, I think that the biggest factor that's inhibiting the adoption of crypto is the illusion of stability in the conventional economy. That the actual general economy is actually very fragile, very unstable, but because of the metrics that we use to gauge its stability, people have the appearance that this is, the stock market's booming, the inflation's low, unemployment's low, everything's looking great. And it's not until those metrics turn on itself and say, actually, most of these banks are underwater, the economy's been growing anemically for a few decades now, and that's when the economic collapse happens, and then it's more likely to people are more likely to turn to crypto at that point than at any other point. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think you were talking about necessity being the mother of invention. Well, to get people to switch from their current whatever they're using to a new one, it doesn't just need to be a little bit better. It needs to be a lot better. And so in countries like the US, okay, cryptocurrency is a little bit better than Bank of America. In countries like Venezuela, cryptocurrencies are significantly better than the infrastructure they have. So I think that's why we see so many people there looking for alternatives. So if we want to compete with the dollar or the euro or the pound, we have to be significantly better, not just a little bit better in order to get people to switch. So let's build those tools to make cryptocurrencies significantly better than the existing legacy financial system.
What do you think is inhibiting the development of the crypto space in general more than anything?
I think the censorship, right? How can good ideas spread if people aren't even allowed to talk about them? And unfortunately, on our Bitcoin and even our cryptocurrency to some extent, and then BitcoinTalk.org, people aren't even allowed to have open discussions. Like, how can good ideas flourish if people aren't even allowed to discuss and debate those ideas for people to figure out which ones? So I think the biggest thing that's been holding back the entire cryptocoin ecosystem is the censorship that's still going on. And if Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are supposed to be censorship resistant money, how can anybody morally justify engaging in a bunch of censorship when people are trying to talk about censorship resistant money? It's just absolutely alien to me, the idea that that's okay. So shame on those that are implementing the censorship.
But I do agree that censorship is totally ridiculous, especially because I'm a freedom of speech maximalist, and I'm sure you are as well. But do you think that our Bitcoin is the home of all debate? Because I see platforms such as such as Twitter becoming the home of crypto debate, and crypto Twitter is now a phenomenon that's reaching the world. Do you not think that the debates surrounding crypto have extended beyond these Bitcoin talk and our Bitcoin? I think those are, every day that goes by, these are more insignificant platforms for the discussions.
I think there's still very, very, very significant platforms, especially for the casual user that's not deep involved in this. And then, unfortunately, Twitter is not an unbiased platform either. There's all sorts of, one of my favorite accounts that I used to follow on Twitter was called Anarchy Ball. It was just kind of like a voluntarist meme posting, account. And I loved it. It was great. And they got banned from Twitter because I guess they posted one too many, pro individual rights meme on there. And then we're even seeing it, Twitter throttling various accounts like the @Bitcoin account on Twitter or a number of other ones. And then they're promoting accounts that, like, I noticed this morning in Twitter, they were promoting, or wasn't even promoted, it was just in my feed, one of these Bitcoin lightning maximalist type guys that I'm not following. And his tweet was in my feed of tweets that are supposed to be from people that I'm following. And then I looked, did somebody that I am following retweet his tweet? No. Like, why was this in my tweet stream? And so, like, it's kind of sad to see Twitter being used as a propaganda tool in the crypto coin scaling area, or I don't know, the whole dissemination of information about cryptocurrency. So I don't think Twitter is an unbiased platform at all. And like, I'm not the world's biggest Alex Jones fan, but like, I think he has a right to say the things that he's saying. And then suddenly overnight, he was banned from Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and all these things. And like, if you disagree with what Alex Jones is saying, great, go out there and say why what he's saying is wrong or what you disagree with. Or we're seeing people invited to speak on college campuses. You have Milo Yiannopoulos invited to speak, and like they basically have riots to prevent him from speaking. Like, this seems crazy to me. I'm with you. I'm a free speech maximalist. Like, I think people should be allowed to say anything that's peaceful. That you're not saying go out and kill this guy tomorrow. If you're not making actual overt threats, have at it. And people discussing which cryptocurrency is a better cryptocurrency to use for whatever, that should be allowed, like, full stop. Like, they're censoring that sort of thing is just I think you're missing the whole point of cryptocurrency if you're trying to censor discussion about cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, do you are you concerned about Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, putting out an appeal to hire Bitcoin core developers within the Twitter company? Did you see the news about that?
I did see that, and I think it's great. I hope he hires a bunch of people to help build tools that empower individuals. But Jack Dorsey doesn't have a history of empowering individuals. He has a history of really manipulating what's going on and cherry picking who's the winner and who's the loser and what they're allowed to say, and kicking people off of the Twitter platforms. So, I hope he does the right thing in this case.
And do you think there's a possibility that he will become part of the tribal mentality and start to silence Bitcoin Cash members and Bitcoin Core descenders?
I think to some extent he already has, right? So he's throttled very, very clearly the @Bitcoin account, and then I'd have to dig into it a little bit more, but I'm pretty sure my own @RogerKVR account has been throttled as well on Twitter. And so there's some other interesting stuff you can Google online about,
Roger, I'm getting a lot of echo. Is there any chance you could turn down the volume? I think that might. I'm getting a lot of echo. How do you stop that?
I think there's somebody else in the room that's.
Oh, right.
I don't have a private room, so sorry about that.
Oh, sorry.
I'm muting when I'm not talking, though.
Oh, okay. No, sorry. Carry on. What were you saying?
Twitter shadow bans people. You have an account and you think you're tweeting and you think other people can see it, but like only the people directly in your stream can see it. And if they retweet it, none of their followers see it. And that's a real thing on Twitter, just like there is on Reddit. So Jack's history and supporting free speech, like in one sense, he built this awesome platform that allows people all over the world to talk about things. But on the other hand, they've been busy cooperating with governments or with people to kick people off without that don't have popular opinions, and that's disappointing.
And putting the technological debate to one side for a moment, do you accept that even if Bitcoin Cash is a better fundamental system for digital crypto cash, that not always the best technology wins in the technological arms race, and that there's other effects such as Maslow's law, the network effect, that have a greater impact on adoption within society?
Yeah, I'm fully cognizant of that, and it's absolutely true. And I think that's the only reason why BTC is still the top cryptocurrency. It's not because it's the fastest or cheapest or most reliable. It's because it has the biggest network effect, and that network effect is a really, really big deal and a really big hurdle to overcome. But when you have the thought leaders from BTC openly cheering about how they can't wait for the fees to be $1,000 each, they're going to lose their first mover advantage, and they're going to lose that network effect. Isn't going to overcome a user experience that's that horrible.
But do you honestly think that those people who cheer on those, because I honestly, I'm a BTC community member, but I don't even pay attention to those guys because I'm very selective about who I pay attention to. And the two that I pay attention to the most are Ivan Antek and Andreas Antonopoulos, and I've never heard either of them. They hate the tribalism fundamentally, and they want to scale these solutions as much as possible. And do you not think it's kind of misleading to say that those guys who are saying that are like the leaders? They have, I'm sure, their own micro groups, but I wouldn't say they're higher order leaders in the Bitcoin Core community.
So Ivan Antek's not writing any of the consensus code for BTC. Andreas, we've already seen him leave the BTC community. His most recent book is, Mastering Ethereum, right? So we've already seen Andreas leave, and the entire ICO and token ecosystem and all that amazing stuff that's happened, all of that would have happened on BTC if it hadn't been for the these Bitcoin Core guys that intentionally destroyed the usability of tokens on Bitcoin. So that's another example. Like the whole Ethereum phenomenon is an example of BTC having its network effect undermined and destroyed or taken over by someone else.
Right, and speaking of Ethereum, and you just said that like Bitcoin would consolidate all of these other crypto and blockchain functionalities if it was in the hands of a better community. Would you think that that's what Satoshi would have wanted? Do you think Satoshi would have wanted to create a blockchain like Bitcoin with plenty of decentralized applications on top of it? Or do you think, as I do, that he sees digital cash, decentralized cash as the ultimate use case, and that these dApps are semi-irrelevant relative to that, higher order pursuit?
I don't know, but I think that's why everyone loves Satoshi, because they can imagine Satoshi would have wanted and thought and liked the exact same things that they individually like and think and want. So that's why Satoshi's popular, and that's why Jesus or God or whatever God is popular, because everybody can impute into them that they think the exact same thing that they do. So
because I'm not,
diversity is good.
Yeah, because I'm not a developer, but from what I understand, Script, the programming language that Bitcoin's built with, was probably selected because of its narrow functionality. That if Satoshi, whoever they were, wanted to create a platform for all of these various extensions beyond digital cash, then they would have used a Turing complete programming language, for example. But that wasn't the case, and that now people who are building on top of Bitcoin, who are building on top of forks of Bitcoin, they are limited by the actual structure of the code to an extent. And that makes me wonder, would Satoshi have not just created Bitcoin with a Turing complete language if that's what he wanted to happen in the long term?
I think that's a very reasonable thing to think. I don't know, but I don't disagree. So that seems reasonable to me.
Fair enough. And regarding Craig Wright for a little bit, can you just give me an update on your friendship and your relationship? Are you in contact at all?
I got a nice Valentine's Day card from him recently.
Oh, no way.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I haven't had any contact with Craig for quite a while, right? And but other than his lawsuits and patents and that sort of thing, I wish him good luck with whatever he's up to in life, so long as it's peaceful.
Right. Okay. And is he dropped the lawsuits against Bitcoin.com now, or is?
No. And technically his name isn't on the lawsuit. It's some shell company that they're using. And so I already had to spend over $100,000 for lawyers' fees to defend that lawsuit for a bunch of these open source software developers, which is really annoying. And I think goes in the exact opposite spirit of the whole, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, free open source software movement. So shame on, Calvin and Craig for engaging in lawsuits and patents and all that sort of nonsense.
Yeah, well, it's just totally crazy. And I have very little respect for the man, to be honest. I think tribalism is probably the biggest inhibition within the community that's going to stifle our development. And he's the most tribal out of everybody from what I can see.
No argument from me.
Yeah, okay. Well, listen, I've got one more question for you because I know you're a busy man and you've got plenty to do. What are you hoping to see for the rest of 2019 in Bitcoin Cash, and then also in the cryptocurrency community in general?
I want to see more adoption in commerce and people using cryptocurrencies to buy and sell things and pay payroll and pay rent and pay for everything. I want people to start using cryptocurrencies as money to buy and sell everything and pay for everything in their daily lives. And I think that's the goal. And if we get that happening, eventually we'll start to see cryptocurrencies supplant and replace government issued currencies. And that's a great thing for increasing the rate of economic growth for the entire world and making everybody's lives better off as a result.
Yes, I agree very much. And good luck with Bitcoin Cash. And I really hope that you succeed because, whether it's Bitcoin Core, Bitcoin Cash, as long as we can lay the infrastructure for the future, we can free as much economic prosperity and as many entrepreneurs around the world as possible, then all of this really doesn't matter.
Bingo.
All right. Well, have a great day and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it.
Talk soon, Roger. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends.